turn to Genesis chapter 6. And I want to talk about this chapter. Let me get there. Genesis chapter 6, everyone. I want to show you something. So here we are. And this is the days of the flood, right? Okay. So we've heard people talk about Nephilim and the fallen angels. That's what's happening in this chapter. But I'm going to show you that that's not the case. Let's talk about it after the fact. So I'm going to read, and I want you to listen really good. Listen to what's happening, okay? All right. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men. Let me just say that again, because that's really important. That the sons of God, this is what we've always heard from people saying that these are fallen angels. But listen carefully. That the sons of God saw that the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Listen to verse 4. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children. They bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. So when I looked at this, when I read it again, and I just looked, and I'm like, giants. Pretend, if you're reading Genesis from the beginning, there's no mention as of yet of any angels. I don't see any mention of angels, okay? But it gets right into the sons of God. Just looking at this, before we go ahead, I know people will come with comments about other scriptures. I'm talking, let's pretend we're reading the Bible for the first time, okay? Where do people get fallen angels just from this? I don't see it at all. When I looked up giants in Hebrew means, it says giants, it also says tyranny, and it also says bully. But to help us even get a better understanding, because remember, we have to keep things in context of what's happening here, look at the last portion of verse 4. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. Oh, whoa, renown. Could it be that renown is talking about giants as far as leadership? Does it necessarily mean size? Because what I'm looking at, I don't think it has anything to do with a physical giant. I think what we're finding here, and what's happening here, is that they're talking about men who had authority. Because when you look up renown in Hebrew, it means authority. Giants. Giant in their, leadership. That's what I get from this. And another thing I want to bring up about the sons of God. Based on what I'm reading here, I don't believe that this is, and I don't like to use that word, I don't believe, because I'm not trying to interpret anything. I'm just going based upon what I'm seeing in the scripture. When we look at verse 2 in the sons of God, from what I'm reading here, are the righteous. The daughters of men are wicked. We can look at this. If you look in chapter 5, because we know Seth was righteous, we have to go back. If you read, I would start back from chapter 3, the fall of men, and work your way up. till you get to chapter 6. The sons of God are righteous. The daughters of men are wicked, and they married them. I remember seeing also, what part was it? Let me see if I can find it real quick because I don't want to get thrown off. Okay, here it is. Like, we know how God is about everyone having after their own kind, right? I just turned to it, so let me share it, and it happens to be right in front of my face. If you look at Genesis chapter 1, verse 25, listen to the scripture. And God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, the cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And listen to the last part. And God saw that it was good. This, just to kind of speed ahead, this is why we know how much God hates adultery, strange wives and things right here, because as you can see in Genesis 1:25, God was pleased when everyone, the cattle, everything that creepeth, made after their own kind. When you get married, that is your wife until death. It's a covenant. And marriage is honorable before God, but when you put your wife away and remarry a strange wife or get a strange husband, that is not after your own kind. That is strange flesh. So now when we look here, so we know how God feels about having your own kind, right? Your own household. You bear children in your marriage after your own kind. Remember, God said to raise up a godly seed. So when we go now to chapter 6, the sons of God are righteous, and they married the unrighteous, the daughters of men. This is what, and God is angry because we can see right after he talks about in verse 4 about the men of renown, listen to what God says. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great on the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast and every creeping thing. See? God was angry. Didn't we just read about he was happy with cattle having after their own kind, every creeping thing after their own kind? But now they had intermingled with these daughters of men, and they were wicked. And the fowls of the air, for it repented me that I have made them. I'll read that from the beginning again, I'm sorry. And the Lord said, I will destroy man, whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repented me that I had made them. So I want you guys to put your comments below, what you're thinking about what's happening here in verse 6. In chapter 6 of Genesis. I don't believe that the giants are actually physically giants. And most people who say that, they've read the book of Enoch, which God did not tell us to do. He told us to read the Bible, that he would preserve his word. He didn't tell us to go read the book of Enoch. And, we're sticking with the Bible. No, so people have read other books outside of the Bible, and now they have been deceived by what they've read and adding now this imagination of what these angels, that's not what's happening as I'm looking in chapter 6. The sons of God are actually sons of God. They are righteous. And here's another issue with this whole giant thing, because they're saying, I've heard several times about the Nephilim, that God destroyed the earth in the flood because these giants came down, fallen angels, and they married these women, daughters of men. Okay, here's the issue. I want to show it to you because I can go on about that whole thing, but let's stick to scripture. Here's the problem with that, because when we look here, the giants actually were here. They existed before the sons of God married the daughters of men. Look here carefully. I want you to read this again. Look at verses 1 through 4. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and the daughters were born, they were born unto them, that the sons of God saw that the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. Listen to this key part of verse 4. Pay attention. I'm going to read it slowly. There were giants in the earth in those days. Did you get that? Listen now. And also after that. Let me say it again. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came onto the daughters of men. So these giants actually were there before the sons of God came onto the daughters of men, and after. So if that's the case, what's happening here? That doesn't make sense. If they were still there, if they were there before and after the case. Please, I want y'all to study this. I don't believe myself. I keep saying that word, sorry. Based on what I'm seeing here, and if y'all can explain in the comments, I'm open to hearing your comments. I don't see the giants actually being physical in size. Based on the fact that it says renown, I think it means as far as who they were, authority, which renown means. And I know the sons of God is not talking about angels here. There's no mention of angels. There's nothing that would make you even think of an angel here. So, and again, even if they were giants, let's just say they were giants, like physically in size. These giants were before the sons of God married the daughters of men. Put your thoughts.